What if I told you that 5 of the most influential success books ever written all begin in exactly the same place? 5 authors, 5 different perspectives, 1 hidden principle: Napoleon Hill, Wallace D. Wattles, James Allen, Claude Bristol, R.H. Jarrett. Some wrote about wealth, others explored philosophy, others focused on the subconscious mind. They never collaborated, many were written decades apart, and yet they all arrived at the same conclusion: not talent, not luck, not discipline, not hard work. Desire, a clear, specific, burning desire. Not the kind that says, "I'd like a better life," but the kind that becomes so clear it begins shaping your thoughts, your decisions, and ultimately, your future. Today we're going to explore these 5 books not as separate ideas, but as 5 different perspectives on the same principle, because each author starts with desire, but each one answers a different question about it. And by the end of this video, I think you'll understand why so many people work incredibly hard, yet never arrive where they truly want to go. Imagine someone asked you a simple question: what do you really want? Most of us answer with something surprisingly vague. I want financial freedom. I want to be successful. I want a better life. I want to be happier. But those aren't destinations, they're directions. They're so broad that 2 people could give exactly the same answer while imagining completely different lives. Your mind can't consistently move towards something that hasn't been clearly defined. R.H. Jarrett put this more bluntly than almost anyone. He argued that most people don't fail because they lack talent or intelligence or opportunity. They fail because they've never actually sat down and answered that question properly. They've spent years being busy, without ever being clear, and that's exactly where every one of these authors begins. Book 1, R.H. Jarrett, It Works. I actually think Jarrett is the right place to start properly because his argument is remarkably simple. Almost everyone wants to be successful, but what does that actually mean? What are you trying to build? What kind of work? What kind of relationships? What kind of life? Jarrett believed the moment you replace a vague wish with a definite desire, something changes. You stop wandering, you start aiming. Everything begins with clarity. Book 2, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Hill takes that clarity and asks another question: how powerful is your desire? Hill famously wrote, "Desire is the starting point of all achievement." He doesn't begin with hard work. He doesn't begin with discipline. He doesn't begin with budgeting your money or productivity systems. He begins with desire, because in Hill's view, none of those things matter very much if you don't first know what you're willing to dedicate them to. Hill spent years studying hundreds of highly successful people, different personalities, different industries, different backgrounds, yet he believed they all shared one defining characteristic: a burning desire, not simply something they hoped might happen one day, but something emotionally meaningful enough to guide their daily decisions. Book 3, Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. Wattles develops Hill's idea even further. If desire is the starting point, Wattles asks, what does your desire actually look like? He argues that desire becomes even more powerful when it's accompanied by a clear mental picture. You should be able to describe it, imagine it, almost see yourself living it, not because visualization is magic, but because your mind struggles to consistently move towards something it cannot clearly picture. In other words, desire gives you direction. A definite mental picture gives that direction clarity. One of my favorite ideas from Wattles is that creating something meaningful for yourself isn't selfish. In fact, it's what allows you to contribute more to others. Clarity doesn't pull you away from service. It makes service possible. Book 4, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. Allen explores another dimension of desire. He asks what happens when you hold on to a worthy desire long enough. Alan famously wrote that circumstances do not make the person, they reveal them. If your thoughts constantly jump from one desire to another, your life eventually reflects that same lack of focus. But when your mind repeatedly returns to one meaningful desire, that desire begins shaping your character, your habits, your decisions, your way of seeing the world. Alan reminds us that success isn't simply reaching a destination. It's allowing a worthy desire to slowly shape the person you're becoming. Book 5, Claude Bristol, The Magic of Believing. Bristol explores what happens after your desire becomes clear. His argument is that your subconscious mind needs to be repeatedly introduced to your desire. Think about it, visualize it, feel it, return to it every single day. Not because repeating a sentence magically changes reality, but because the more deeply your desire becomes impressed upon your mind, the more your attention, your decisions, and your behavior naturally begin organizing themselves around it. It's almost like giving your brain a destination it refuses to forget. And once your desire is genuinely fixed like that, there's a very specific next step, turning it into something you can actually act on. I'll get to exactly that in a minute. After reading these books, I realized something fascinating. None of these authors are arguing with one another. They're describing different dimensions of the same idea: desire. Jarrett teaches us to define your desire. Hill teaches us to strengthen your desire until it becomes a burning desire. Wattles teaches us to see your desire so clearly that your mind can picture it. Alan teaches us to allow your desire to shape the person you're becoming. Bristol teaches us to impress your desire upon your subconscious through repetition, visualization, and emotion. 5 authors, 5 different perspectives, one central principle. Together they paint a far richer picture than any one book alone. They show us that desire isn't simply wanting something, it's knowing what you want, seeing it, feeling it, becoming the kind of person who pursues it, and returning to it often enough that it begins shaping your decisions. Now, I don't want this to sound mystical. None of these books are saying that desire replaces action. Quite the opposite. Desire organises action. Imagine trying to plan a journey without choosing a destination. You could spend hours researching flights, comparing hotels, packing your suitcase, planning your budget. You'd be busy, but none of your effort would actually move you anywhere meaningful. That's what life feels like when your desires remain vague. The work still matters, but direction is what gives the work meaning. 5 authors, more than a century of ideas, different philosophies, different ways of putting it, and yet every one of them begins by asking the same simple question: what do you truly desire? Because until that answer becomes clear, it's possible to spend years climbing a ladder, only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. Once your desire becomes clear, the next step is turning it into a practical direction. That's exactly what I explore in my vision map video, where I walk through a simple framework for transforming a vague wish into a clear target your brain can actually follow. If this video helped you, I'd love for you to subscribe to Mind Rewired. And remember, understand your mind, express your life.